My cherished daughter, your prayers have been fulfilled. 2 strong boys shall be born to you, destined to bring greatness to your kingdom. They will arrive adorned with dreadlocks, a symbol of their resilience. However, understand this: the younger twin will possess greater strength than the other. His strength will emanate from his locks. If his hair is ever cut, he will lose all his strength. It is imperative that you safeguard him without exception. In a distant realm known as the Da Bapo Kingdom, there reigned a strikingly handsome and formidable king, King Abu. Alongside his enchanting wife, Queen Oda, they governed the realm with insight and compassion. Yet, in spite of their immense wealth, formidable power, and resplendent glory, there remained one crucial element absent from their lives: a young one. For countless years, the monarchs explored every possible avenue. They sought out the finest healers, made offerings to the deities, and journeyed to distant realms, all in pursuit of a remedy for their infertility. Yet, nothing seemed to make a difference. Their palace stood in quietude, devoid of the joyful echoes of a child's laughter. The inhabitants of the Da Bapo kingdom started to murmur among themselves. Whispers spread that the divine had cast a shadow upon the royal couple. Some held the view that the queen was not meant to embrace motherhood. Each night, Queen Oda wept as she drifted into slumber, yearning and hoping for a child to cherish as her own. On a fateful day, following yet another sleepless night brimming with tears, Queen Oda resolved to seize control of her destiny. She enveloped herself in a modest cloth and departed the palace before the first light, making her way directly to the great river of life, where it was whispered that the powerful river goddess, Meninora, heeded the pleas of childless women. She knelt by the riverbank, her hands quivering as she gathered the refreshing water into her palms. "Oh, magnificent matron of the waters," she implored, "grant me your mercy, grant me the gift of a child, that my dwelling may overflow with happiness." The river fell into a serene silence, as though the very essence of time had frozen in place. From the depths, a stunning woman with cascading hair and skin that glimmered like the moon rose from the water. It was Meninora, the divine spirit of the river, Queen of Da Bapo. Meninora spoke with a voice that resonated with both softness and strength. "Your hopes have been acknowledged. 2 strong boys shall be born to you, destined to bring greatness to your kingdom." Queen Oda inhaled sharply, her hands pressed against her heart in delight. "Gratitude flows from my heart, O Divine One, gratitude flows." However, Meninora gestured for her to be quiet. "Pay close attention, my dear," the goddess went on. "These young men are destined for greatness. They will arrive adorned with dreadlocks, a symbol of their resilience. However, understand this: the younger twin will possess greater strength than the other. His strength will emanate from his locks. Should his hair ever be severed, he will forfeit all his power. It is imperative that you safeguard him without exception." The queen nodded swiftly, her heart racing. She vowed to follow the instructions given to her. As she waved her hand one last time, the goddess vanished into the depths of the water, leaving Queen Oda gazing at the undulating waves, her thoughts swirling with a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. 9 months later, the palace brimmed with happiness. Queen Oda welcomed 2 beautiful baby boys into the world. The realm celebrated, drums echoed through the air, and the populace twirled and swayed from dawn until dusk. The eldest was given the name Omar. He possessed great strength and wisdom. The second-born received the name Aid. He exuded an enigmatic presence, and even in infancy, there was an unmistakable uniqueness about him. In contrast to his brother, his wails resonated with intensity, reverberating through the palace walls. His small fists were perpetually tight, and his eyes glowed with an extraordinary intensity. True to the river goddess's words, both boys emerged with lush dreadlocks adorning their heads. King Abu and Queen Oda recalled the cautionary words. Aid's hair should remain untouched. As the twins matured, it became evident that they were far from typical children. Omar possessed a keen intellect and consistently paid heed to the wisdom of his elders. He honed his skills alongside the finest fighters, mastering the intricacies of battle and the nuances of guiding others. Aid, in contrast, stood apart. He exhibited unparalleled speed, strength, and a remarkable fearlessness that surpassed all previous expectations. At just 5 years old, he was capable of lifting objects that even adult men found challenging. As he engaged in play, his laughter resonated with the force of a storm, and in moments of anger, the ground beneath him appeared to tremble. One day, while engaging in playful antics with the palace guards, Aid inadvertently nudged a full-grown man with nothing more than a single finger. The man soared several feet through the air, crashing down onto the ground with a thud. The whispers of Aid's might spread throughout the kingdom. "He is a divine offspring," they murmured. "Such strength should not belong to any human." Some individuals regarded him with trepidation, while others held him in high esteem. As the years rolled by, Omar and Aid blossomed into robust, striking young men. Their days of innocence had faded, and now they stood on the brink of embracing the weighty duties that came with the royal lineage. Aid had evolved into a bold and formidable fighter, cherished by the people for his remarkable power. He could grapple with the mightiest warriors in the realm and conquer them with ease. His arrows always found their mark, and his presence on the battlefield was akin to a thunderstorm raging with fury. Omar, in contrast, was shrewd and driven. He had always held the conviction that, as the firstborn, he was the rightful heir to the throne, yet he fell short of the courage and fortitude displayed by his younger brother. Despite his training alongside the warriors, a deep-seated fear lingered within him. On a radiant morning, King Abu resolved to lead his sons into the vast expanse of the Da Bapo forest, a realm abundant with towering trees, untamed rivers, and formidable creatures. "It is essential to grasp the essence of the land you are destined to govern," the king remarked. "A genuine leader does not merely occupy the seat of power. He is intimately familiar with every corner of his realm, with a sense of adventure." Aid and Omar galloped alongside their father, venturing deep into the heart of the forest. The atmosphere was heavy with the fragrance of newly sprouted foliage, while birds chirped harmonious melodies. Yet, unbeknownst to them, peril awaited in the darkness. Upon arriving at the forest's core, a thunderous, fearsome roar reverberated among the trees. The horses whinnied in fright, their eyes filled with dread. Suddenly, a colossal lion, the size of a buffalo, sprang from the underbrush, its razor-sharp teeth shimmering in the sunlight. "A lion," the sovereign bellowed, grasping for his blade. Just as the king was about to act, Omar erupted with a scream and bolted away, his feet stirring up dust as he vanished into the depths of the forest. He sprinted with the speed of a gale, leaving his father and brother in his wake. Yet Aid remained steadfast. His heart raced, yet he remained still. His hands balled into fists, and he inhaled deeply, locking his gaze onto the lion's fierce eyes. "Come and fight me," Aid roared, thumping his chest with fervor. The lion let out a fierce roar and lunged towards him. Aid refrained from running. Instead, he grasped a sturdy tree branch resting on the earth and swung it with all his strength. Snap! The branch struck the lion's head, yet the creature merely swayed back for an instant before unleashing another roar. It lunged forward, its razor-sharp claws targeting Aid's chest with deadly precision. Yet Aid outpaced him. He shifted to the side and seized the lion by its majestic mane. With remarkable power, he hoisted the formidable creature into the air. King Abu stood in disbelief as Aid exerted all his strength to twist the lion's neck. With a decisive snap, the lion collapsed to the earth, lifeless. The woods lay in stillness. Aid brushed the sweat from his brow and glanced at his father. "Are you injured, father?" he inquired, his breath coming in labored gasps. King Abu shook his head in disbelief. "No, my son," he said, placing a proud hand on Aid's shoulder. "You have accomplished what few can even dream of achieving. You are genuinely a treasure from the divine." Aid smiled modestly, yet within, he understood that this was merely the start of his journey. In the meantime, Omar arrived at the palace. His heart raced from the run, and his clothes were dust-laden. He stormed into the throne room where Queen Oda was seated, engaged in conversation with the palace elders. "Mother, mother," Omar exclaimed, feigning sorrow as tears streamed down his face. Queen Oda's eyes grew large with terror. "What troubles you, my child?" she inquired, hurrying to embrace him. Omar collapsed onto the floor, feigning tears. "It is Dad and Aid. They have passed away. In the depths of the forest, a lion launched a fierce attack on us. I made an effort to assist, yet they had already slipped away." The queen emitted a chilling scream. Her hand pressed against her chest. "No, My husband, my son, she sobbed, tears streaming down her cheeks. Omar knelt beside her, feigning comfort in her moment of distress. Mother, please don't weep. With my father's departure, the throne is now mine to claim. I will look after you, he murmured. At that moment, the palace gates swung wide open. King Abu and Aid entered, entirely unscathed. Gasping echoed throughout the space. Queen Oda turned and beheld them standing there, the king appearing perplexed. The queen stood still, her gaze flickering back and forth between her husband and Omar. What is happening here? She inquired, her voice quivering. King Abu scowled. Omar, my son, what untruths have you been sharing with your mother? He insisted. Omar's complexion drained of color, yet he swiftly managed to put on a smile. Father, you live on. Fear gripped me. I believed you were gone. He stuttered, yet the queen was far from naive. She glanced over at her husband. Reveal the truth to me, she urged. The king recounted the entire tale, detailing how Omar fled in terror, abandoning them, and how Aid bravely defeated the lion with nothing but his bare hands. Queen Oda's expression shifted to one of deep fury. So, Omar, you abandoned your father and brother to their fate, then arrived here proclaiming that you will soon be king? She inquired icily. Omar swallowed hard. He attempted to voice his thoughts, yet the fury reflected in his mother's gaze rendered him mute. King Abu advanced, his head shaking in disapproval. Omar, you have tarnished the honor of this family. A true leader embodies courage, refusing to be a coward who resorts to deceit for the sake of power, he asserted. Omar sank to his knees, feigning a sense of regret. Forgive me, dear father. Fear gripped me. It won't occur again, he implored. King Abu let out a heavy sigh. You are my child, and I will grant you my forgiveness. Yet today, I have witnessed the truth, he proclaimed. The inhabitants of the kingdom hailed Aid as the mightiest warrior to have ever existed. In the streets, his name echoed with fervor, as they hailed him Aid the Lion Slayer. In recognition of his bravery, King Abu proclaimed that Aid would succeed him as the next ruler of the Da Bapo kingdom. He appointed him as second in command, granting him authority over the army and the kingdom's matters. That night, while the kingdom celebrated, Omar remained in his chambers, seething with anger. How could they possibly commend Aid and overlook me? He grumbled, his fists tightening in frustration. His animosity toward Aid intensified. But now it was not only Aid he despised, he also loathed his own father. If my father has passed away, I shall ascend to the throne. I must devise a plan to seize the throne, even if it requires eliminating them both. With shadows clouding his soul, Omar set his schemes in motion. Then a thought struck him. The shadowy practices. Whispers floated through the marketplace about a formidable native doctor, Baba Kuro, a figure who resided deep within the shadows of the forbidden forest. Whispers circulated about the fear his magic instilled in everyone, yet he chose to remain aloof from the intrigues of the royal court. He will assist me, Omar whispered, for the right price. He will grant me the ability to eliminate Aid and seize the throne. Swiftly, he donned his cloak, obscured his features, and stealthily exited the palace. Shrouded in the night's embrace, Omar rode his horse through the dense forest, the trees looming above him like quiet sentinels. As he ventured further, the chill in the air intensified. The trail lay shrouded in shadows, alive with murmurs, as hidden beings stirred within the underbrush surrounding him. He steeled himself, clutching the reins of his horse tightly. After what seemed like an eternity of riding, he finally caught sight of a small, twisted hut encircled by bones and charms. Omar dismounted, his heart racing with intensity. He stepped ahead and lifted his hand to rap on the door. Just as his fingers were about to make contact with the door, it creaked open by itself. A haunting, resonant voice reverberated from within. I understand your purpose for being here. Omar entered with a sense of trepidation. Seated at the table was Baba Kuro, an ancient figure whose presence was both fearsome and commanding, his dark red eyes piercing through the dim light. His skin resembled the gnarled texture of ancient tree bark, while his elongated, bony fingers tapped rhythmically on the wooden table. Omar took a deep breath, maintaining a calm tone despite the tension in the air. I seek your guidance, esteemed one, he expressed. I wish for my brother Aid to no longer be alive. He has taken what rightfully belongs to me. I shall ascend to the throne." A hush enveloped the room. Baba Kuro remained still. He fixed his gaze on Omar, his glowing red eyes cutting through the darkness, delving deep into his very essence. Then, out of nowhere, he erupted into a booming, thunderous laugh. Omar, overwhelmed, stunned, he couldn't grasp what was amusing. The laughter faded, and Baba Kuro leaned in closer, his face mere inches from Omar's. "Foolish prince," he spat. "How audacious of you to suggest I involve myself in matters of noble lineage." Omar's breath hitched in his throat. "Yet, I present to you riches, authority, everything your heart desires." Baba Kuro's eyes burned with fury. "There exist forces far mightier than gold," he bellowed, striking his staff against the earth. Omar stumbled backward, suddenly sensing the vulnerability of a young child facing a fierce tempest. "You are a foolish and greedy prince," Baba Kuro continued. "You desire to end the lives of your own sibling and parent. The deities shall never permit it. A power beyond your wildest dreams safeguards their blood." Omar's hands tightened into fists. "I will do whatever it takes," he shouted. "Please guide me on the necessary steps I should take." Yet Baba Kuro struck the ground with his staff once more. "Leave at once," he commanded. "Return to your realm and do not set foot in my shrine again." Baba Kuro ordered. Omar staggered back, his heart pounding in his chest. "However, depart." Before Omar had a chance to protest, the earth trembled beneath him with fierce intensity. The door creaked open as if guided by an unseen hand, propelling him into the world beyond. Omar rested on the ground, his breath coming in heavy gasps. He faced rejection. The healer had turned him away. His animosity towards Aid and King Abu intensified further. Even the native doctors fear him. He muttered, "In that case, I will take matters into my own hands." As Omar rode back to the palace beneath the shadowy sky, a singular thought consumed his heart. Retribution. Should the deities and the magicians refuse to assist me, I shall seek an alternative path. He pledged. He needed to be clever. He must cultivate patience. First, Aid must be brought down. Then my father. And only then will the throne be rightfully mine. But how is that possible? A sly grin spread across Omar's face. I shall render him powerless. I will aim for the most vulnerable spot. 4 days went by, yet Omar's heart remained heavy with anger. He was unable to eat. He was unable to sleep. Whenever he shut his eyes, the image of Aid next to their father, the illustrious King Abu, filled his mind, accompanied by the roar of the crowd chanting his name. Aid, the beast conqueror. Aid, the mightiest figure in Dabapo. Aid, the king of tomorrow. Their voices echoed in Omar's ears like the rumble of thunder preceding a mighty storm. "What about myself?" Omar muttered under his breath. "Am I not the eldest? Am I not meant to ascend to the throne?" As he pondered the situation further, his frustration intensified. "I need to uncover the source of Aid's strength. What gives him such strength?" The following morning, Omar approached Aid's room, his mind brimming with devious ideas. Aid perched on a wooden stool, meticulously sharpening his sword. Omar entered, a smile reluctantly plastered on his face. "My beloved brother," he remarked, "you are indeed a formidable individual. The entire realm whispers of your might." Aid glanced upward, a smile spreading across his face, blissfully unaware of any underlying tension. "Thank you, Omar," he remarked, placing his sword on the ground. Omar advanced a step nearer. "But tell me, dear brother," he murmured softly, "from where do you draw your strength? What gives you the strength to battle like a legion? How did you manage to take down that lion without a spear?" Aid chuckled softly, shaking his head in amusement. "The deities of our realm stand by my side," he declared. "They empower me to safeguard our realm and its inhabitants." Omar's expression shifted, his hands clenching into rigid fists. "So I am the one whom the gods do not favor," he exclaimed, his voice escalating with fury. Aid furrowed his brow, lost in thought. "My dear brother, that's not quite what I intended to convey." But Omar recoiled and hissed, his eyes ablaze with animosity. "That's enough," he retorted. "You and your ineffectual father. You both believe you surpass me. But I will prove otherwise. I will handle both of you." Aid's gaze sharpened. "Omar, what do you mean?" Omar remained silent. He pivoted abruptly and exited the room with intensity, his heart racing like a battle drum. Following the intense meeting in his room, Aid found it impossible to rid himself of the peculiar sensation lingering in his heart. His brother's words weighed heavily on his mind. The fury in Omar's voice, the disdain in his eyes. It was unsettling. Overwhelmed by his thoughts, Aid chose to confide in his father. He strode directly to King Abu's royal chamber, where the king was seated on his throne, engrossed in ancient scrolls. Upon Aid's entrance, the king lifted his gaze. "My dear child, what weighs on your heart?" he inquired, placing the scrolls aside. Aid inclined his head gently before moving ahead. "Father, I have concerns about Omar. Today he approached me inquiring about the source of my strength. Upon sharing that the deities of our realm stand by my side, he was filled with rage. He mentioned that he would handle matters with both of us." The king's brow knitted together in worry. "Omar remarked this?" he inquired. Aid gave a slight nod. King Abu exhaled heavily and leaned in closer. "Aid, there's something you need to be aware of," he murmured softly. Aid absorbed every word as his father went on. "Your true strength arises from an extraordinary source. Your hair embodies your power. While your dreadlocks stay unaltered, you will possess a strength surpassing that of any man in this realm. Your hair should remain untouched. If that is the case, you will forfeit all your power." Aid's eyes grew large with astonishment. "My hair," he reiterated, running his fingers through the dense dreadlocks adorning his head. "But father, Omar shares my hair color. What makes mine unique?" King Abu firmly rested his hand on his son's shoulder. "For you, my son, have been selected by the divine. You were destined from the very beginning to safeguard this realm. Aid, you are truly one of a kind. That is the reason no one can overcome you." Aid experienced a whirlwind of feelings, pride, confusion, and fear intertwined within him. He inquired, "If my hair is cut, will I become weak?" The monarch inclined his head. "Indeed, my son, that is the reason you need to exercise caution. Always keep your hair to yourself." Unbeknownst to them, Omar lingered just outside the chamber, absorbing every word that was spoken. Upon learning that Aid's power resided in his hair, a surge of joy filled his heart. Thus, the truth was revealed, he murmured quietly to himself. His lips curled into a sly grin as a scheme started to take shape in his thoughts. If he could just cut Aid's hair, he would render him weak, he mused, his eyes shining with wicked anticipation. And when he is vulnerable, I will bring about his downfall. Then I shall confront father. The throne shall belong to me. Omar struggled to hold back his exhilaration and mischievous delight. He spun around and hurried back to his room, his heart racing with excitement. Upon entering, he secured the door and started to pace rhythmically. Lost in thought, what steps should I take to accomplish this? Aid remains vigilant. As his father has cautioned him, he won't permit anyone to come close to his hair. He paused, stroking his chin, lost in contemplation. I am unable to confront him. I am unable to compel him. Perhaps there exists an alternative, a method to earn his trust. Suddenly, a thought hit him with electrifying intensity, and a sinister smile crept onto his lips. Indeed, he whispered, his gaze shimmering with mischief. I shall take my time, embracing patience, feigning affection, and working to regain his trust. And when the moment arrives, I will make my move. Omar chuckled quietly, a sound laced with malice and cunning. The time has come for you to step down. Aid, I will sever that connection you're clinging to, and you will fade into obscurity. Then I shall ascend as the sovereign of Da Bapo Kingdom. The following morning, Omar found himself unable to contain his fury any longer. The words his father spoke to Aid the night before echoed persistently in his mind. You have been selected by the divine. Your hair is your power. You are extraordinary. Aid, every word pierced Omar's heart like a sharp spear. And what of my own situation? He murmured under his breath while walking back and forth in his room. His hands balled into tight fists. Am I not also a child of King Abu? Am I not the eldest? Why does he treat me as if I am insignificant? His animosity simmered within him like water heating in a fragile vessel. I refuse to remain silent any longer. Today, I will confront him head-on. Without a moment's hesitation, Omar burst from his chambers and strode directly to the royal hall, where King Abu reclined upon his golden throne. King Abu was deeply engaged in a serious discussion with his council when Omar abruptly entered the throne room. Catching everyone off guard, the elders gasped. their eyes growing wide at Omar's audacious arrival. Yet Omar remained indifferent. "Father, we must have a conversation," he stated, his tone heavy with anger and frustration. King Abu gazed upward, his expression steady yet resolute. "Omar, my dear boy, what does this signify?" he inquired. Omar advanced, his hands trembling with fury. "Why do you despise me so deeply?" "Father," he inquired, "what is it about Aid that makes you love him more than me? Why do you regard me as if I am insignificant? I am your first son. Yet you chose Aid as second in command instead of me. Am I not meant to ascend to the throne?" Silence enveloped the room. The council members exchanged glances, acutely aware of the palpable tension surrounding them. King Abu inhaled deeply and rose from his throne. "Omar, my son," he spoke with a steady yet resolute tone. "You cannot grasp the essence of what it means to rule as a king." Omar's eyes blazed with rage. "Could you clarify what you mean? I am your firstborn, that fact speaks volumes." King Abu shook his head in disbelief. "No, Omar, being the firstborn doesn't automatically qualify you as a leader. A ruler should embody strength, wisdom, and selflessness. A ruler must stand prepared to protect his subjects. A sovereign should govern with fairness and insight. And you, my son, are missing all of these qualities." Omar stumbled backward, his heart racing with disbelief and fury. "What are you trying to convey, father?" he inquired. King Abu moved nearer to his son, his gaze heavy with disappointment and sorrow. "Omar, allow me to explain why I chose not to appoint you as my second in command," he stated. "You are impulsive, acting without forethought, neglecting to weigh the outcomes of your decisions." Omar's chest heaved with fury. Yet the king pressed on. "You are neglectful, failing to uphold your responsibilities. And you show no concern for the future of this kingdom. You squander resources. You invest in frivolous pursuits. You host lavish gatherings without cause. You lack the ability to steward the riches of this realm." Omar's jaw clenched, his lips sealing in a simmering rage. "You have an overwhelming affection for women, which distracts you from your rightful preparation for the throne, leading you to pursue fleeting pleasures instead. A genuine ruler requires discipline. Yet you possess none." Omar's face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and fury. Yet it was the king's subsequent words that pierced him the most profoundly. 5. You lack the strength to protect this land. You are perpetually filled with fear, having fled when the lion attacked us in the forest, abandoning me and your brother. How can someone so cowardly hope to rule a kingdom? Omar's whole being tensed, his heart thundering in his chest like a battle drum. The monarch gazed directly into his eyes. "Omar, my son, here are the reasons I do not require you to take my place." The words struck Omar with the force of a blow, leaving his pride in ruins, his ego scorched, and his hands shaking with rage. Omar stepped back, his eyes blazing with unrestrained fury. "So that is it," he spat, his voice trembling. "You have already picked Aid over me. You have already concluded that I am worthless." King Abu sighed. "Omar, you have the potential to change. If you learn from your mistakes, you can grow into a better man. But at this moment, you are not prepared to take on the role of king." Omar sensed a sudden break within himself. "Then I don't need you either, father," he murmured, his tone laced with bitterness. "You no longer hold the title of father in my eyes. I will claim the throne regardless of your wishes." With that, he pivoted sharply on his heels and stormed out of the throne room, his expression contorted with fury and a thirst for retribution. The elders murmured quietly to one another, taken aback by Omar's words. King Abu observed his son depart, a profound sadness enveloping his heart. He muttered a plea for divine protection from his own nature. Omar hurried back to his room, his thoughts swirling with shadows. He had been humiliated by his father in front of the elders. His father had chosen Aid over him. His father had labeled him a coward. "I will show him," Omar screamed. "I will show them all. I will take the throne by force." Omar clung to his anger, having exhausted every effort. Yet Aid remained unyielding, and their father had brought him to shame. If he couldn't overcome Aid through his own efforts, then he would seek an alternative path. He journeyed to a nearby village and encountered Zara, a young woman celebrated for her beauty and allure. "I have a task for you," Omar said, and Zara raised an eyebrow. "So, what do I receive in exchange?" Omar flung a tiny pouch of gold down at her feet. "That's merely the start. There's much more to uncover if you follow my guidance." She grasped the bag, assessing its weight in her palm. "What is it that you require?" "Aid. I need you to build a rapport with him. Gain his trust. And when the moment is appropriate, take action to cut off his hair." Zara's eyes widened. His hair tousled. "Indeed," Omar hissed. "That's the source of his power, if you can't eliminate him. Then poison him, ensuring he doesn't survive." Zara gazed at the gold once more, then gave a nod. "Count on it." Zara entered Da Bapo Kingdom, feigning the role of a wayward traveler. Aid, ever the warm soul, embraced her with genuine affection. As time went by, Zara began to notice a change in Aid. He was not merely strong, but also noble, kind, and brimming with wisdom. He extended respect to all, regardless of their station, even the humblest servant. For the first time in her life, Zara experienced something genuine, yet she found herself unable to follow through. One evening, she approached Aid and knelt before him. "I have something to tell you," she said, her voice trembling. Aid scowled. "What is it exactly?" Zara inhaled deeply. "Omar sent me. He compensated me to either trim your hair or eliminate you if that didn't succeed." Aid was taken aback. "Omar," she nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "But I can't do it, you don't deserve this." After a prolonged silence, Aid rose to his feet and summoned the guards. He requested that my father be brought. On that night, the whole royal court convened. Zara revealed all, while Omar was brought in, his hands bound. King Abu gazed at him, a look of disappointment clouding his eyes. "My own son, you attempted to take your brother's life." Omar frowned. "You never wished for me to take the throne. It was always Aid you favored over me." King Abu shook his head. "No, Omar, you chose greed, you chose hatred." The council called for retribution. "Banish him," one cried out. "He poses a threat to us all," another echoed. King Abu let out a heavy sigh. "Omar, for your betrayal, you are no longer a prince. You are banished from the Da Bapo kingdom, and you shall never return." Omar fought fiercely against the guards, his voice filled with defiance. "You will come to regret this," he declared. "One day, I will return and reclaim everything that is rightfully mine." Yet his words held no significance. The guards pulled him away, marking the final moment Omar would ever tread upon the grounds of Da Bapo kingdom. With Omar's departure, tranquility settled over the realm. Aid remained devoted to his father, safeguarding the realm with both insight and might. Zara, burdened by her past, departed the palace, pledging to embrace a life of integrity. King Abu continued to reign for many more years, confident that his kingdom was secure under the protection of Aid, the mightiest warrior Da Bapo had ever seen. Esteemed audience, what insights did you glean from this captivating narrative? We invite you to share your insights in the comment section below. If you liked the story, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to enable notifications to stay informed about our latest updates. Thank you for tuning in, and may you be blessed.